Are you ready to get into it? As we'll start with the heavyweights. Cain Velasquez is the number one heavyweight in the world without a question. He's the UFC heavyweight champion. 11-1 is his professional record. We actually have zero movement this month at heavyweight. Junior Dos Santos coming in at number 2, as he was in January. Alistair Overeem at number 3. Overeem fighting Antonio Silva tomorrow night. Daniel Cormier, 11-0, coming in at number 4. He'll fight Frank Mir on April 20th for the UFC on Fox 7. Josh Barnett in at number 5. Frank Mir at number 6. Gotta like that. Number 4 and number 6 will be fighting in April. And number 3 and number 8 will be fighting tomorrow night. Fabricio Verdum is number 7. Antonio Silva is number 8. He fights number 3 Overeem tomorrow night at UFC 156. At number 9, we have Antonio Rodrigo Nogueira. He'll fight number 7 Fabricio Verdum on June the 8th. And at number 10, we have 18-7 Roy Big Country Nelson coming off that TKO win over Matt Mitrione in December. Big Roy will fight Czech Congo in April at UFC 159. So that's the top 10 in the heavyweight division. Any questions, Johnny North, that seem up to par, up to your standards right now?
Well, besides Overeem, it doesn't really seem like anyone else is going to move this month.
Yeah, right. I mean, Overeem, even if he beats Antonio Silva tomorrow night, he's not going to jump into the second or first position. Overeem can't really move until he beats Dos Santos or Velasquez, as he's number 3. Unless he loses, then he's going to move, but in the wrong direction for him. Antonio Silva's got a huge opportunity tomorrow night. If he can shock the world and beat Alistair Overeem, I mean, he would jump up a considerable amount in the heavyweight division and in our rankings. So it's a big opportunity for Antonio, and we'll see what he's able to do tomorrow night. That's the heavyweight rankings. Let's get to the light heavyweights. A couple changes at light heavyweight this month. No change in the top spot, though. We have Johnny Bones Jones, 17-1. Will defend the title against Chael Sonnen on April 27th in New Jersey. At number 2 in the world, we have Hendo Dan Henderson, and Hendo will be fighting this month against the number 3 light heavyweight in the world, Lyoto the Dragon Machida. If that's not a number 1 contenders bout, I don't know what is. You have the number 2 and the number 3 guy fighting. You figure the winner of that fight should fight the number 1 guy. It seems to make sense to me. Machida fighting Henderson February 23rd. It'll be UFC 157. There'll be the co-main event of Ronda Rousey and Liz Carmouche for the first ever women's bantamweight title. Rashad Evans at number 4. He'll fight tomorrow night against the number 10 fighter on our list, Nogueira. At number 5, we have Phil Davis. He'll fight Vinny Magalhães in his next bout on the 27th of April at that UFC 159 card that's looking stacked right now. The UFC putting it together this week, looking like a tremendous mixed martial arts event in New Jersey. At number 6, we have Alexander Gustafsson, who will fight Gegard Mousasi on April 6th in his home country of Sweden. Gustafsson fighting on that UFC on Fuel TV 9 card, again in Sweden, for the big man. At number 7, we have Mauricio Shogun Rua. At number 8, we have Gegard Mousasi. How do you like that? April 6th, number 8 faces number 6. The light heavyweight division is heating up. Ryan Bader jumping into the list, coming in at number 9. As Bader looked impressive against Vladimir Matyushenko this past weekend at UFC on Fox 6, submitting him in under a minute. And you look at what Ryan Bader has been able to do. He was an honorable mention last month. He's got wins over Nogueira and over Rampage Jackson. And Rampage was formerly the number 10 heavyweight or light heavyweight in the world on our list, but Rampage has lost to Glover Teixeira. The guy's lost 3 in a row now. So Rampage is out of the top 10 at light heavyweight. Antonio Rogerio Nogueira, who was number 9, drops to number 10 and fills that spot. And Ryan Bader jumps in from an honorable mention in January to the 9th spot. The reason he doesn't come in at number 10 is because, hey, he's already beat Nogueira, so I think he deserves the respect of coming in At number 9, slightly ahead of Nogueira. So that's the top 10 at light heavyweight. Jones number 1, Dan Henderson number 2, Machida at 3, Rashad Evans at 4, Phil Davis at 5, Gustafsson at 6, Shogun at 7, Gegard at 8, Ryan Bader at 9, and Little Nogueira at 10. And Nogueira, of course, the number 10 light heavyweight in the world, faces number 4, Rashad Evans, tomorrow night. John, any problems with Bader now coming into the top 10? Rampage, he was a top 5 fighter at one time, top 2, maybe even the number 1 light heavyweight at one point in time. He just isn't anymore, and at this point in his career, he is no longer top 10. I think this is the first time in the now 19 months that we've done the top 10 in MMA officially on our website that Rampage is not in the top 10. He's lost 3 in a row. What can you say about Rampage? He's got to go.
It's unfortunate. The last few fights for Rampage and UFC didn't go particularly well for him. I wouldn't mind seeing King Mo make the top 10. I think if he continues to impress in Bellator, I think he should be up there.
Problem with King Mo is he's not fighting the top 10 competition. He's not fighting the best in the world. It's hard to break that top 10 at Bellator unless... See, to me, if you're going to be in the top 10 of our list and you're going to be a Bellator fighter, you have to be the champion. And King Mo is not the champion yet. If he can become the champion and beat Christian Mpumu and run through Bellator as he did in his first fight, then the talk will come, well, is King Mo top 10? He has a victory over Gegard Mousasi, and Gegard is a top 10. So is King Mo top 10? I don't think he is right now. But I think if he were to become Bellator champion, which he's en route to doing, if he can win this tournament and then beat Christian Mpumu, he could be the champion, but he's got to do it to get into the top 10, I think. It's tough. It's tough to crack that top 10 in Bellator because you're just not fighting the top 10 fighters, It's easy to take their spot if you're beating them, but if you're not fighting them, you're kind of out of the mix.